Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intentional Productivity Tips. I am Megan. I am your very favorite strategic productivity partner, and I thank you for spending some time with me to talk about your productivity. As you know, Intentional Productivity Tips can be watched every week, 2 o'clock Pacific time on Thursdays, where we are going to gather and chat and talk about productivity tips, habits, processes, mindsets, automations, and anything that you can think of that will help you be intentional with your productivity. Why? If we're intentional with our productivity, we are able to enjoy the lives we work so hard to acquire, so hard to be at. We'll be able to enjoy it if we are intentional with our productivity. So I want to thank you again for joining us. Today you are watching me on USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube channel, where please remember to like, subscribe, and even be notified when new episodes drop. You can also check out our website, USA Global TV and Radio. We do have amazing other programs and shows. For example, you can learn a little bit about being an elevated listener. And I think all of us can admit that we can benefit from some listening skills. As I have not mentioned yet today, but what we're going to talk about today, I am very excited about. As you know, I am excited about all things productivity, but what I want to talk about today is your productivity framework, your productivity preferences. Today, we are going to talk about, are you structure or are you flow with your productivity preferences? What does that mean? What do I mean by productivity preferences? What is structured? What is flow? Let us sit down. Let us talk about it right now. So today we're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to meet your productivity preference superheroes because you are going to meet soon, but I firmly and wholeheartedly believe that our productivity preferences are what make us superheroes. So we're going to look at 3 productivity preference superheroes today. You are going to find out your productivity superhero powers, and then we're going to talk about, where does your hero excel? Are you structure, flow, or a little bit of both? So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about productivity preferences. Every week we're here at 2 o'clock. So I knew today we were going to be talking about this and was excited about it, right? I was excited to think about, what are our productivity preferences? When I've mentioned this to clients and people in the past, they're like, what do you mean productivity preferences, Megan? Do you mean like a to-do list versus a spreadsheet? What do you mean? And I realized that, yes, those are productivity preferences. But what I'm talking about right now is your productivity preferences and how you are a superhero of getting everything done. Why do I say superhero? Think about it. We have more that we have to do in any given day. We have access to more information. We have things flying at us in all different directions and notifications. When you think about it, and able to get anything done in today's day and age, we need to be superheroes. And we need to understand our preferences so we can embrace and become our superheroes. But again, what do I mean when I'm talking about preferences? A couple hours ago, I was on a client call. I am working on a project. I'm project managing a project. And we were talking about what they're working on. And they kept talking about the wireframe, right? It's a product project. And so there is a wireframe that is being developed right now. And so as I was hearing them talk about the wireframe for the product, I was thinking in the back of my head, wait a minute, this is what I'm going to be talking about in just a few minutes. And it's true. Our productivity preference is kind of our wireframe. For those of people in the technical world that understand, it's the container, it's the guide, it's the structure of how things are going to happen. Our productivity, remember, it's personal. So whether you thrive with structure, you like flow, or a balance of both, understanding your style will help you reduce stress, boost creativity, and enjoy the process of getting things done. So what we want to do when it comes to understanding, learning about our productivity preferences is we want to understand how is it that we operate? How is it that we prefer? How is it that we are in our best mode, right? How is it that we can operate so that we're in our zone? So we're going to look at that today. We're going to look at about our productivity preferences. But first, before we look at our superheroes, I want to talk a little bit about why. Why is it worth me talking about? I will say, again, having been a productivity partner with clients over the last 11 years, I have learned a lot about productivity preferences and the value of knowing your productivity preferences and your superhero strengths, right? If we know how we operate best, it's going to reduce our stress. We are going to understand and we're going to have confidence and we're not going to be fighting. Have you ever been working on a project and you just weren't in the mood for it and things just weren't going right and you felt like you were rolling a boulder uphill? Well, that adds stress. And so what we want to do is we want to find our preferences and our operating systems so that we're able to operate with reduced stress and boost our creativity. It's going to increase your productivity and you'll get to know yourself and your style. So isn't it worth taking a chance in just a few minutes to get to know your productivity preferences so we can identify your productivity preference superhero? We're going to take a chance and we're going to work on that right now. So what I would like for you to do is I'm going to ask you a series of 9 questions. What we're going to do is you don't need anything or this. All you need is your right hand and your left hand, right? So I'm going to ask you a question and you'll have 3 options. If you are choosing option A, you are going to put up a finger in your right hand. If you are choosing option B, you are going to put up a finger in your left hand. And if you are choosing option C, you are going to wiggle your toes. We know that we're going to get to the answer of 9. So we know that we'll be able to get to that number. So I'm going to ask you some questions to discover your productivity superhero preference. How is it that you like to operate to get things done, to be productive, to be able to flow, and to be able to work? So 9 questions, we're going to determine that right now. So remember, if you're answering A, you are going to put a finger up in your right hand. If you are answering B, you are going to put a finger up in your left hand. And if you are answering C, wiggle your toes. Question number 1, and my note to you, as I'm answering these, don't overthink it. As soon as I read them, if it's A, raise your right hand, B, your left hand. We don't want to overthink this. We just want to see what our mind is telling us. So, does a structured hour-by-hour to-do list? So how do you respond to a structured hour-by-hour to-do list? A, does it motivate you to stay on track? A, does it motivate you to stay on track? B, does a structured hour-by-hour to-do list overwhelm you and make you feel trapped? Or C, does a structured hour-by-hour to-do list provide a framework? So A, motivate you to stay on track, B, overwhelm you, or C, be a framework while allowing for flexibility. Okay, question. When setting goals, do you prefer A, detailed step-by-step plans and timelines? B, a big picture overview and flexibility to adapt? Or C, a blend of planning and adaptability? Do you like detailed, big picture, or a blend? Question 3, how do you handle interruptions during work? A, you get frustrated and lose your focus. B, go with the flow and adapt to the change. Or C, you balance structured responses with flexibility. Question number 4. When planning your workday, do you prefer A, a well-organized schedule with exact times to reflect? B, a loose list of things to accomplish without strict times? Or C, a balance of both? So when planning your workday, do you want well-organized, loose structure, or do you want a balance? Question number 5. What helps you stay productive? A, having a clear path for the day and sticking to it. B, are you most productive when you following your energy and working with what inspires you? Or C, a bit of both, structure to stay focused and flow to stay inspired. So far we've answered 5 questions. 6, how do you organize your calendar? Do you block off specific times for every task and event? A. B, keep it flexible, adding things as they come without strict time blocking. Or C, block out some time for important tasks, but leave space for things that come up spontaneously. A, do you block specific times? B, flexible. C, you block out some time for importance, but beyond that, you're flexible. 3 more questions. Question number 7, how do you manage your email? A, do you schedule a specific time and check in responding to it each day? B, do you check in the emails as they come and what feels right? Or C, do you check emails at the time but allow for flexibility? Question 8, when tracking priorities, do you keep a detailed list with deadlines and priorities? Do you keep a loose list and adjust it as new tasks come in? Or C, use a mix of detailed tracking and flexible approach to accommodate. So for tracking priorities, is it A, you keep a detailed list, B, a loose list, or C, a mix of them? Our last and 9th question, how do you approach project planning? A, I set clear milestones, deadlines, and break down tools into detailed steps. B, I focus on the big picture and adapt plans as I go. Or C, create an outline, but leave room for flexibility, adjusting on new information as it comes in. Okay, so we just asked 9 questions, right? So you should have some fingers, you should have some numbers of how many fingers on your right hand, how many A's did you have? How many fingers? I have 0. How many fingers do you have on your left hand? How many fingers did you choose for B on your left hand? I chose 6. Or how many times did you wiggle your toes? We know the answer is going to add up to 9, right? And so how many times did you wiggle your toes? So you now know if you mostly chose A, congratulations, you are Stewie Structure. We're going to get to know a little bit more about the superheroes in just a little bit. But you're a Stewie Structure. You thrive in a well-organized environment with clear goals and timelines. If you're a B, if you chose mostly B, you're a Fantasia Flow. You excel when you have the freedom to adapt, letting your creativity guide you. And if you are C, then you're Lulu bit of both. Lulu bit of both. And you like to embrace structure and flow and adjusting based on your tasks and environment. So one of the things we know, depending on if you chose A, B, or C, you are either Stewie Structure, Fantasia Flow, or Lulu bit of both. It's important now that we've got a chance and now that we've started to look at what are your preferences, what do your preferences and how do your productivity preferences connect with the superhero? When we think about it, taking time to understand our productivity preferences and our productivity structure and what our productivity preferences are, we're able to identify that superhero like we just did. Now let's take a little bit and learn a little bit more about them, right? So we want to take a moment and we want to meet Stewie, Fantasia, and Lulu bit of both. So let's start by meeting Stewie Structure. Now, one thing I want to talk about when we are talking about the personalities and when I'm introducing these 3 superheroes to you, I am introducing them as you as a person, and these are the superheroes that powers that people possess. Again, after working with clients for the last 11 years, we know that there are situations when there are superheroes who that is their preference, and that is them through and through, morning, noon, and night. Doesn't matter what they're doing. They're 100% that superhero. And for those people, I say, great. It's important you know yourself, and we'll set up those habits, processes, mindset, and activities to support that. The other reality is there's also people who embrace a lot of a superhero, but maybe they're situational and they wear capes in different situations. We're going to look at that in just a moment. But before we look at the situations, let's meet our three superheroes. So let's start with Stewie Structure. If you chose all A's, maybe you are Stewie Structure. Who is Stewie? Is it you or someone you know? I bet there is someone you know. So Stewie Structure is the kind of person who plans their day down to the minute. Their to-do list is color-coded and every task has a dedicated time slot. They use their structure for it. Last-minute changes or interruptions stress them out and are really not in Stewie's world. They get thrown when things change and they thrive when everything is organized and there is a plan for everything. Stewie's mindset thrives on clear expectations and control. They love predictability and work best when they have a detailed roadmap for the day. Stewie dislikes interruptions and finds it hard to stay focused when their plans are disrupted. Do you know a Stewie? Maybe are you Stewie? I've worked with several clients that are Stewie, and I'm always amazed. I love when we identify, and when I did identify with a client that if they sit and put together a to-do list and they plan their day, they're going to follow that. To me, that is glorious. If you have the superpowers of Stewie Structure, that means you are the master of control and clarity. And good job, Stewie Structure. We appreciate you. Now let's meet Fantasia Flow. Fantasia Flow is a little bit opposite than Stewie, right? So Fantasia doesn't believe in rigid schedules or strict to-do lists. For her, productivity is about getting into the zone, letting inspiration guide her, and working at her own pace. She prefers a broad outline, allowing her creativity to flow naturally throughout the day. Fantasia's mindset thrives on flexibility and creativity. She works best when she has the freedom to adapt and does not feel confined by blocks or details. Her dislikes, Fantasia is more about big picture overview and prefers to work on what feels right in the moment. Do you know any Fantasia Flow? Fantasia Flow is the Duchess of the Zone. And I will tell you, for the most part, I am Fantasia Flow, and I appreciate Fantasia Flow. And I'll be honest, especially I realized I was Fantasia Flow when I read the part about the schedule. Because for me, as a Fantasia Flow, it's important to have flexibility. If there's meetings, I will attend the meetings. But if it's project time, I need to be a little bit of flexible, right? So now let's meet Lulu, little bit of both. And so Lulu, bit of both. Now, Lulu finds herself comfortably straddling both worlds of structure and flow. She's a blend of the two. She leverages structured approaches where needed and embraces a more flexible mindset in other areas. Disregards overly rigid schedules. Lulu's all about flexibility, especially when it comes to creative tasks. You cannot tell Lulu what to do, when to do it. Lulu's going to do it when they're able to. Lulu is going to be able to have a schedule, but they're also going to need to be flexible. They need to have some of that flexibility. But don't get fooled when it's time for some things. While it seems like Lulu might be a little bit more flexible, don't be fooled, because there are some times when Lulu can be rigid more than Stewie. Lulu, that could happen with things like Google Drive and pictures, right? So now that we have met Stewie, we have met Fantasia Flow, and we have met Lulu Bit of Both. And Lulu Bit of Both is the Empress of Balance, because Lulu can work in both worlds. Now, we took the quiz and we kind of said, are you mainly A's, B's, or C's? In this case, the people who are mainly A's are going to be Stewie Structure. In terms of B's, right? So when we look at it, people who had mainly A's when we ask questions, Stewie Structure. People who mainly had B's, Fantasia Flow. People who mainly had C's, Lulu Bit of Both. It's important to begin to identify who we are, who is our superhero, what are our superpowers, and then how can we embrace them? How can we help our superpowers to help our productivity? Once we understand our ability and once we understand our superpowers, it's powerful and it's magic. I have one client. He's one of my very, very first clients. And we used to talk about all the time. In his mind, he was a very structured person. He loved to plan projects. He loved to do the project elements, very, very organized, very Stewie characteristics, except for when it came time to actually getting the project work done. At that point, he wasn't able to work forward back. He wasn't able to work from now to when the project was due. So one of the things we learned is while this person's characteristics and super was mainly a superhero powers of Stewie's structure, when it came to actually doing the work, he couldn't do it in advance. It was better if he did it at the last minute. So we found, oh, you know what? Well, there is a lot of you that is Stewie. Actually, you're a little bit of both. Because when it comes to when you actually do the work, he couldn't do it in advance. It was one of those things where it just didn't work. He needed to do it under the guise of the pressure. So one of the things that we worked on is, fine, we'll schedule it so you're working under the guise of the pressure. It's important for us to understand our superhero preferences. It's important for us to understand how we can be productive. So now when I say and talk about the wireframe of productivity, this is what we're talking about. How do you prefer to operate? What is your operating system? And your operating system is your superhero abilities. And how can we embrace them so that we can be more productive? So we've talked about the superheroes. We've talked about our three characters. Stewie, our superheroes. Stewie, Structure, Fantasia, Flow, and Lulu, bit of both. And absolutely, there are people, I am sure, when I've gone through it, you've thought of people like, oh, that is that person. Oh, that's that person. Absolutely. The reality is we can have superhero powers all the time, or we can wear capes for different situations. So instead of always just embracing, and this is one of the most powerful things I learned when working with clients, again, it goes to, we can have superhero productivity preferences that we use to operate our days and how we get things done. And then we also need to identify that there are situational times where we wear different capes of our superhero based on our needs and based on what it is. So we're going to go through and look right now at our situational capes that we wear, and if it's structure, flow, or both. So we've got our three capes. We've got our orange Stewie structure cape. This is the structured cape for those who love to plan, organize, and control their day with precision. We have the green cape of Fantasia Flow. And Fantasia is for those who thrive in a flexible, creative environment with inspiration to guide them. Or are you Lulu, bit of both? That's for those who seamlessly can wear both capes. So we know we have learned about the characters. Let's look at the situations and when we might want to wear these capes. So what I've done is I've identified a group of areas and looked at, okay, if we were to create a list of different topics or areas, such as your calendar, are you a color-coded time blocking fan? Yes. Or do you like to prefer more flexibility? What is your email process? So my recommendation, and one thing that I have done, is identified what are your different areas or productivity focused areas that you have. Again, your schedule, tracking priorities, organizing drives. Again, you want to look at how and what cape are you wearing, your flexible cape? Are you wearing your bit of both cape? So what we want to think about and what I want you to do is go through and say, when it comes to my calendar, what cape am I wearing? When it comes to how I do my email, what cape am I wearing? When it comes to schedule, am I wearing my flow? Am I wearing my structure? Or am I wearing my bit of both cape? When you track priorities, organizing drives, daily process, organizing photos and memories, it's important to look at each of these areas individually. Now, you might have more areas that I have not included, and that's great because you want to go through it. I found a power in going through this with clients. One client I have, we were able to identify for him, for example, one area where he is 100% flow is when there's items on his Trello board. So he will add items to his Trello board, email items to his Trello board, and then go through and review them at a time when he wants. And so it's important to identify how is it that I move forward with productivity. What is my preference? How do I like to be productive? Not just because I like it because it's fun, which is important, but what is my preference? What is it that works for me? How can I be more productive? Is it when I'm a structured environment, a flowed environment, or a little bit of both? So that's why we wanted to talk about this today. For example, the capes I wear, you will notice that I am actually when it comes to my capes situations and the situations that I wear them, I am actually a little bit of both, right? I have some orange, I have some structured stewy, I have some flow, and I also have some Lulu both. It's important that we identify for ourselves, because once I know this, for example, for me, the two areas where I am Stewie structure is my calendar, how I track it. I am a color-coded person. I do add everything on my calendar. I love my calendar. It tells the story of my life. And so I am very Stacy structured. I am very Stewie structured when it comes to my calendar. And also when it comes to organizing my drives, my Google Drive, the naming, the folders, the A's, all of that. In those two areas, I have learned about myself. If I am setting something up new, I know I am going to be very detail oriented. I know I am going to pay attention to it. But when it comes to my schedule and my structure and my email, then I'm going to be a little bit more of a flow person. It's important for each of us to know this for ourselves. It's important for us to begin to celebrate the capes that we wear, to know that there are times when we are Stewie structured. There is times when we are Fantasia flow, and there are times when we are Lulu bit of both. There is no one answer, and we have the flexibility and the freedom to find what works for us. Know when to wear each cape. Know if it's structure for focus or flow for creativity, or if you need to be a little bit of both. Embrace your superpower to optimize your productivity and work at your best. Getting to know your productivity superhero means getting to know your productivity preferences. Today we have spent time. Our goal has been to get to know our productivity preferences. Who is our superhero? What are the different capes we wear in different situations? Now is the time to embrace it. Now it's time for you to say, okay, I get it. I get this now. Good news, this is part 1 of the presentation. Next Thursday, 2:00 Pacific, right here on USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube channel, I will be back and we are going to talk about part 2. And in part 2, we're going to dive into the habits, processes that are going to support you for what the superhero that you are. We are going to identify, now that we know your productivity preference and superhero, now that we know the situational capes that you wear, we're going to say, let's build productivity processes, habits, and systems that support those. I want to thank you for being here with me today. As always, I am Megan. I am your very favorite strategic productivity partner. My goal today has been to have you think of your productivity in a little bit of a different format and a little bit of a different preference. And I hope that that has been helpful for you. I hope that this time has been valuable. I also want to say again, next week, please be sure to come back. We are going to be looking at, now that we've identified, let's look at how to enact and how to move forward with your preferences. I want to thank you for joining me today. As I said, every Thursday, you can find me here, USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube channel. Remember to please like, subscribe, and be notified when new episodes drop. I thank you for being intentional with your productivity. And now, a message from our sponsor.
Lady Ella flies up high, spreading kindness through the sky. With Lord Jack right by her side, through the world they glide. They listen close, they understand, helping creatures in the land. With open hearts, they lend a hand. Come along, come and see. Kindness starts with you and me. Listen close, hear the sound. Kindness
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.